takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome into another edition of the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I'm Rob, always joined by House and Alex on the Monday pods. Little interesting beginning. Hopefully you guys all missed it, but
nailed it, buddy.
Went live a little too early, but good to be back. We skipped last Monday because of Halloween. House had some kids and everyone was doing everything. We had the Monday night football game. Cleveland boy over here, so had to go watch my Brownies. House, buddy, I haven't seen you in a little while. What's going on?
It's been a minute. Been busy, my man. Being a dad.
Dad bod.
I got one of those too.
Name
for
of the
sure. For sure. Yeah, man. Glad to be back. I feel like I've been out of the loop, but my fantasy team suck right now, so I've been in hiding. So everybody's hurt. Can't do anything about it. Is what it is.
A lot of injuries, a lot of bye weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you ain't kidding.
It's been an interesting couple weeks. Alex, buddy, what's going on?
Not much, man. You know, same old, same old. It was Jenny's birthday on Halloween, so had to do that stuff. But my fantasy teams have been doing okay. So it sucks for you guys, but
yeah, I didn't say anything.
The money.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, it was just me. It's just I'm in a bad spot all around.
I'm all right. I don't know. I got a couple dynasty teams. I like them. I don't love them. A couple regular leagues. I have one that I really like, and two not so much. I got too many injuries and stuff like that. Some of my big names kind of went down, and I took Trey Lance in every league this year, so that killed me. But
we told you not to do that, but you decided not to listen.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know,
hey,
you win some, you lose some.
Not to jump the gun, but you making that move for Fields is paying off finally.
Fields
That's right.
Good, yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry. Don't worry. So we're going to do something different. Most of the time, every Monday, we get into kind of just previewing game to game what happened over the weekend. This time, we're going to preview Monday night. We'll talk about this game coming up. And then we're going to get into some of the players that maybe exceeded expectations this week and some of the players that did not, and kind of the outlook for the rest of the season. And if we like them moving forward, some players might be pickup candidates. Some people might be drop candidates. So stuff like that. We'll get into kind of more specific players, have a little bit more time to talk about them as opposed to kind of just running through game to game and kind of going over the game, because hopefully you guys watched them. A lot of good football this weekend, and a lot of bad football too. So we'll kind of avoid getting too deep into the games and kind of focus more on player to player outlooks. So first bit of news before we kind of get into everything, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this, is the whole Josh Allen elbow situation, because it's coming out more and more that it might be a serious injury. Even if it's not, I expect him to miss at least a few weeks. But with him being out, what's kind of the outlook for the receivers, running back, kind of everybody? House, you want to start with it?
Yeah, when I was watching that, I saw it happen, and you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the play when Roethlisberger hurt his elbow against Seattle. It's the first thing that popped into my head, just the way he grabbed it, kind of how he looked when he threw the ball. Hopefully it's not that serious, because the league needs Josh Allen, and he needs to, he's a guy who needs to be out there. So, I hope it's not as serious as what it was for Ben when it looked the same way, in my opinion. But I think that offense is got enough weapons that it's going to be sustainable for the receivers, right? I don't think you're going to get as many of the big plays, right? Because there's not many guys that can throw the ball like Josh Allen can. Not many guys can go downfield like Josh Allen can. So I think you're still going to be all right with Diggs. I think you're still going to be all right with, Davis is going to be kind of that boom or bust, I think, because he's that deep threat, that big play guy that's going to get behind the defenses. But I think you might see a little bit of an uptick from the running backs.
Yeah.
Relying on the run a little bit more. Allen not carrying the ball as much. So, I think you have to account for that over these, couple of weeks if he misses some time.
Alex, anything to add?
No, I pretty much agree. I think, Gabe Davis is going to be a riskier play. Mm-hmm. Keenum has had good rapport with Diggs in Minnesota, so I'm not worried about.
It's true.
I'm not worried about those two. I think if Allen misses any time, and they're saying if it, what I've been reading, if it's not a tear, if it's a strain, it could still be 6 weeks. It could, it could be like a 3 to 6 week injury. Singletary has an uptick. I think Hines and Singletary are guys you're really going to look, and the people who have been playing Singletary probably in that flex or that RB3 spot. He has potential to be an RB2 going, while Allen's out, but pretty much agreeing with House for them.
So yeah, the uptick for Singletary, you don't think it's crazy? Like you think it's still
no? If Allen's out,
10 to 15 points a week ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think he goes crazy. Like I'm not putting him in RB1 territory or even high end RB2, but I think he's a little bit more consistent play than what we've seen. So
I'm excited. I mean,
he's a 10-point guy right now.
I don't want to say I'm excited kind of to see it. What's up, Albert? Thanks for joining in as always. I don't want to say I'm excited to see it because you don't want to see Allen go down, but I'm excited to see Singletary without a rushing quarterback and kind of a team that's going to have to lean on the run a little bit more because he was, I mean, we all know it. He was amazing the back half of last season.
Yeah.
He's shown flashes this season. It's just, is it going to be kind of more committee? Is James Cook going to get involved a little bit more? He's been looking pretty decent. So it could be an interesting backfield again. I don't know. It might get mishmash again. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not out. I mean, that's obviously we're all hoping that, but early indications it's not looking great for Josh Allen. Let's start with the Monday. We'll start Monday Night Football, kind of go over this game real quick. We'll get through it because if you guys have players in for Monday Night Football, like they're stuck, right? So we'll just kind of go through it really quick. House, we'll start with you, Baltimore. No Andrews, no Gus Edwards. Who's going to take a step forward? Do you think Drake likely? Could it be a receiver, Duvernay? Like who's the guy you think is going to be the man there?
Yeah, so I think Duvernay's the focus of the offense, but I like Likely in this matchup. I think there was not a lot, but there was some hype around him in the preseason. He could do some things.
He's good.
Yeah, I think he's
really
he's a sneaky play tonight to catch some passes, get in the end zone. Drake, I think he's obviously going to improve because of no Gus, right? And he's going to get, I think, more work. But you always got to worry about Lamar running the ball, and that's always going to be an impact on those running backs. So,
yeah,
I think Duvernay is turning into the focal point of the offense, but I think Likely's a solid play for tonight.
Yeah, I've pounded the table. I refuse to play tight ends if I can against New Orleans. They're just so good. I love Likely as a talent, and if Andrews misses any more time, like he's an easy play moving forward. It's just this defense is so good against tight ends. Alex, New Orleans. I mean, we know what's going on there. Kamara, Olave. No Mark Ingram in this game, which is interesting to me. I kind of think maybe like Taysom Hill might take a little step forward because of it. What's your outlook? Anyone besides those two like pique your interest?
No. I mean, this is with where the team's at. Baltimore's defense is starting to play a little bit better too. So the only one, the people, Kamara and Olave are going to take probably 70% of the targets today. I mean, it doesn't matter. Baltimore knows it. That's what New Orleans is going to do. Those are their only options. So you're going to play them, no issue. Both of them can have big games tonight.
I expect them to. I mean, they have to if they want to be involved in the game.
Right.
Like you said, I mean, Baltimore's defense has played a little better, but they've been not that great.
Right.
Roquan Smith, though, coming in.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. I'm excited. I mean, I'm curious
I think
to
it
see how it
hurts the
plays
run
out.
game. Yeah. I think Drake takes a hit because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how it looks for sure. For me, like I said, Taysom Hill, I think could be a sneaky play, but like, again, it's a Monday night. You probably can't even plug him in. But for me, I like him a little bit just because Mark Ingram's out. I think they're going to do some weird stuff with him in the backfield and that kind of thing. But let's get into kind of our players that exceeded expectations this past week, and kind of their outlook for the rest of the season. What you like, kind of, if you think it's kind of a flash in the pan, or if it's something that can be sustainable, because a lot of these players have been playing pretty nice lately. House, I'll start with you. You brought him up, so I'll kick it to you. Justin Fields. I mean, my dude, my Buckeye alum. I love him. I think he's going to be really good if they can get some talent around the kid and an offensive line. Are you on the train yet, or what?
As a fantasy player, yes, but as an NFL quarterback, not so much. I think he's a perfect example of the running quarterback in having that inflated value, right? Because
what about Lamar?
I think
Justin
Lamar's
Fields
a better
isn't
quarterback
Lamar.
than
Justin Fields isn't Lamar.
But I mean, if you
put up
look
the
at
most rushing yards by a single quarterback ever,
and that's what I'm saying. If you look at his numbers, though, like he's putting up great fantasy numbers. So from a fantasy perspective, all in for the rest of the year. Schedule's not terrible coming up. They got Detroit, Atlanta,
pretty easy.
the Jets, Green Bay, and
up until that bye week.
Then they go Philly, Buffalo after that. So that's gonna toughen things up a little bit. But I mean, looking at his passing yards, like if he doesn't run, it's a big risk. So I think he's a guy that I'm gonna play. But I have a little bit of hesitation on that because he hasn't proven that he can do it two different ways. You know what I mean?
He's a running back who can throw okay right now.
Yeah, I'm sold, baby.
You've been sold when he was.
I'm sold, baby.
Terrible at the beginning of the year. So
I was.
But hey,
I was hesitant after the first
thing.
3 weeks. I was pumping the brakes, but I mean, dude, he's like QB2 since week 5.
He's doing his thing, man. Good for him.
Yeah, he's been putting up. Alex, I'm gonna give you a little bit different kind of perspective here, because I think Justin Fields, I think we kind of know what he is at this point for fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be a very solid fantasy player. Like I said, kind of until the bye week, I'm a little nervous, especially that's going into playoffs and stuff.
Right into the playoffs, yeah.
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Say Josh Allen's out and stuff like that. Like, he's played 3 games. He's put up 18.5, 20, 24 pretty much, and 17.5. Very consistent through his first 3 starts with this team. He knows the offense. He looks comfortable. Is he a pickup? Like, do you want him on your team? What do you think is this going to sustain where he can get you 18 to 25 points a game, or are you like, it might fade?
So I've been thinking on this one a lot because it's got like this Fitzpatrick like feeling to it, where it's like there's going to be, big games or really good games, and then I think he's going to have games where he's going to throw like 3 picks. There's a reason why Carson Wentz was starting over him, and if that was a reason, it's kind of scary because if Wentz was that much better than him, then I don't know. I think it's if you have the space, roster him, kind of see what happens. Maybe he got drastically better. He has really good chemistry with Curtis Samuel and McLaurin. So could be better days ahead. I would just say be careful. Don't expect those numbers to continue.
That TD to Samuel should have been a pick.
Yeah, I agree.
It came up in our chat with our one league, and watching that video. 100% that ref got in the way. Should have been picked.
Oh yeah.
For sure. So
that's
be
fair.
careful.
That's fair. I think he's a decent like QB2 for sure. Like you can play him in 2 QB leagues and like be comfortable. I think he deserves to be rostered. Especially over some of the other players. Well, let's do that. We'll bump to our quarterback kind of. We'll go that way. So let's bump to our quarterback concerns, I guess, right? This guy you might not be playing, but he's a high profile guy. We want to kind of discuss him. Aaron Rodgers. Like I probably would have Heineke on my roster over Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers isn't. You shouldn't roster him.
Yeah,
Even 2 QB leagues, he should not be rostered.
So, House, what's your like? Do you think like he's fully droppable? We want nothing to do with him. Is Jordan Love coming in soon?
No, Jordan Love is not coming in soon.
Bring him in.
100% Jordan Love's not coming in. I think in a super flex you have Rodgers on your roster just because quarterbacks are so, so quarterback needy. But if you're in a 1 QB league, no sense in having him on your roster. They just look bad.
It's crazy.
Dobbs is injured now.
Even just like him in general, obviously he takes it with Devontae leaving, and we all knew that was going to be an impact. And we've talked about Lazard, we've talked about Dobbs, and we talked about, Watson coming in, and the various quote unquote weapons that they tried to give him, which none of them were going to be as good as we've had in the past. But even him, like the decisions, some of the throws he's made, he just doesn't look like his old self.
He's forcing it.
So I don't know if he's trying. I don't know if he's trying to do too much. If he's trying to put too much on himself.
Yeah.
Or maybe Devontae made him look better. And
maybe I think
on some of those questionable decisions, maybe Devontae made him look good.
Yeah.
So,
he's
for this week, what I will say, I think that Dobbs injury really shook him and the whole offense. Like first play comes out, gets a 20-yard pass, goes down with that ankle injury, and who knows how long he's going to be out, which sucks.
Yeah,
because he was coming on. It looked good. The chemistry was there. Aaron Rodgers seemed to trust him and kind of lean his way. So I do think that was a bigger deal than people kind of want to let on, but still, like, you're going up against Detroit. There's no excuse for what went down.
Yeah.
It's a bad team
with everything. Yeah.
Two red zone interceptions?
There's a couple more players on this list we'll get to. Alex, this one I've been talking about a little bit. Justin Herbert, only 14 points this week. Is he playable without Mike Williams and Keenan Allen?
Brian, cover your ears.
It really. So I have him like in my bigger money league. He's my QB, but I almost started Kirk Cousins over him this week. He's looking healthier. His throws are looking better. His movement's a little better. But right now, if there's somebody who's like, if you have a Kirk Cousins who's available,
what about a Heineke?
I was going to ask the same question.
I think it's.
I think that's realistic.
It's matchup dependent. I think.
Man, it's crazy how far we've fallen.
Yeah, it's if Heineke's playing a really good passing defense, like temporary expectations on that because there could be turnovers.
Yeah,
Allen's really good. Obviously, you're not dropping him. There's a good chance Allen's back within the next week or two. Williams can be back in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So it's maybe you don't play him for a couple weeks, but yeah,
Herbert.
Yeah, maybe you sit him just for a couple weeks. Just it's not there.
So next week you got Chargers, Niners, you got Commanders, Eagles. Like if you had
not playing either. If
those are the two quarterbacks on your roster though,
I'm probably playing Herbert.
Yeah, I'd go Herbert.
Just
I think
the
floor is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But man, if you can find like I don't even know who you were looking at there. I mean, Jimmy G's been nice lately. They're starting to figure some stuff out there with their weapons, and now that CMC's there.
The Saints play the Steelers, play Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I said Andy Dalton was kind of one of my
that's what I'm saying.
Real dark sleepers for this week because I think he's gonna have a nice game tonight.
The difference in points between QB6 and QB15 right now isn't that drastic.
Yeah,
it's really close to where I think it's at this point to where if you don't have that top 5 guy or even the top 8 guy, you should be for sure, even in 10-team leagues, you should have 2 QBs. You're gonna have matchup games. If you don't have a top 6, 7 guy, you should be rostering 2 QBs.
Yeah, if you don't have Justin Fields, go roster 2. So that's the moral of the story. Let's keep it moving. Let's get to running backs and our big boys that played well. They're kind of oddballs. I didn't want to pick the CMCs and all that. So let's get into our first one here, Cordell Patterson. Okay, he comes out off injury, puts up 2 touchdowns, only 44 yards though. So what's your expectations for him moving forward? Because if he didn't get 2 touchdowns, super close to the goal line, by the way, he wouldn't have had a great game. And Tyler Algier, he looked great, man. He put up 100 yards on maybe 10 touches.
Yeah, he didn't have a ton of touches. I know that, but I tend to think they were working him back into the offense a little bit. I think he was their focal point. Maybe not their focal point. That's not the right word, but I think he was kind of the guy they leaned on at the beginning of the year, right? He got hurt. Yeah. Patterson, that is. He was their Swiss Army knife last year. I think you're going to start to see him come back in a little bit more. What do you have? 13 carries, 44 yards, only 1 target.
Yeah, so that's
one catch. I think you're going to see that go up, and I think that they're going to work him back in. Listen, I was glad he came back. I said it earlier. My teams were injured. I had him. I plugged him right in on a prayer. I was happy with the 2 TDs. Right. But I think he's somebody that's playable the rest of the year, pending health. Not a great 100%. Team, but I think he's a guy that you're going to.
Are they not a great team though? That's the thing.
They're winning.
They're winning.
They're not great.
The defense has been surprisingly pretty decent.
Yep.
That offensive line's been surprisingly pretty good. And I think, I agree. If you have Cordell Patterson, I think he's an RB2 if he's healthy the rest of the season.
RB2, Tyler Algier, is he?
I think he's a 5 to 9 point guy.
Okay.
I think him getting 99 yards on 10 carries it was nice, but in his previous games, he's had some 3 yards per carry games. They want to get Patterson involved. Yeah, I'm jealous. I want him.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. I think Patterson's he's a solid play moving forward. It seemed, by all accounts, anyways, he's going to be the goal line back. And with this offense, they seem to get down there a lot.
Yeah,
they're around the goal line. It's just who can get them in. And now they got Patterson back.
Dude.
They got Patterson back. Yeah. I like it. Alex, Jeff Wilson, and Raheem Mostert. Let's get into both of them. Give me a rest of season outlook. Jeff Wilson had a pretty decent day. Raheem Mostert, not so much.
Yeah. It's going to be back and forth. We've seen them play on another team together. We know what their limitations are. We know what they can do. We know Raheem Mostert's a track star when he gets open. I think it's going to be a 50-50 split. I don't think Jeff Wilson's that much better than Mostert, and I think they're both going to have games where one's better than the other. And when 2 is firing, it's just scary to play. If you're to play them even in flex, it's kind of scary. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, man, I'm hurting on this because I have Mostert in a couple of leagues, and I was looking for a big game this week against that defense, and it did not happen. So, I think so. I was telling Mario this. I just think this whole bringing Jeff Wilson in on that trade, I really do think it's to save Raheem Mostert for the playoffs. I think there's going to be a lot more. It's going to be more 50-50 than we think.
Oh, I agree.
So, not a fan of that. Yeah. But RB disappointments. House. DeAndre Swift. Only 8 points. Only 2 carries. What are we doing?
I started Jamal Williams over him.
I started Swift in one of my leagues.
I made that mistake last week. It's a health thing with him, man.
Why play him? Why play
all
him?
the talent in the world, but it's a health thing, and if he just can't stay healthy, and he's getting into that category that we've had in the past with Saquon and in McCaffrey, maybe not to that extent, but at this point, until he has a game, I think Williams is a safer play on that team, and it's a shame because he's a great player.
Yeah,
and a lot of people drafted him pretty high. He's probably a late first rounder.
Yep.
In a lot of leagues, and I don't know, that offense could do so many. They're doing decent things, and they can do things with Williams. I like Williams as a player, but just imagining what they could do if Swift could stay healthy.
So it was a weird game for that offense.
Yeah.
No Hawk. That's gonna hurt them.
I don't get that move. Why they did that? I get it, but the offense looks so good. For when everybody was healthy,
it was like 4 games.
But that's when they were all healthy. Like when everybody was on the field together, they looked good. And now you take that piece away. Mon-Ra looked not great in this game. The whole attention of the defense is going to go to Mon-Ra now. So maybe they did it because Jameson Williams coming soon. We'll see.
I just don't think they want to pay him. I just think that paying a tight end.
Are they paying anybody?
They're about to. They need a defense. They need to, they've got Goff is due money. I mean, they've got to figure out.
I guess maybe. Yeah, I get
it's like what the Bears are doing. Like, they don't. I mean, if you're not winning this year, there's no point of keeping good players on your team when you can get picks and open up money to improve the team.
I guess. I just think a very good young tight end is hard to come by.
What's he, 25?
Yeah, he's young.
He's 25 though. He's going to be like next year he'll be in his 6th year.
So?
Unless if you think he's Kelsey. And that's what I'm saying. If you think he's Kelsey, if you think he's Kittle, you think he's Andrews, then it's like, you're not letting him go, but he's not any of those guys. He's not.
That's fair, but I think he has more talent than 90% of the tight ends in the league.
I agree.
It's just a hard pill to swallow. Like if I'm a Detroit fan, I'm pissed.
For sure, because the rest of the season you're not expecting to win very many games.
Yeah, they're punting. Alex, we talked about Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the backfield. Both had under 7 points against maybe the worst rush defense in the league. Like they couldn't punch it in on the goal line. It was wild to watch. Like AJ Dillon, that's supposed to be what he does. He got stuffed like 3 times on the goal line.
Yeah, he's looked bad all season.
I don't understand what's going on.
I'm not blaming the backfield. I'm going to be honest. I think the coaching's bad. I think what's going on with the line is bad. Aaron Rodgers, even with not having the players, House has touched on this. He looks worse regardless.
Yeah.
Balls aren't, they're low and away, and they're just not looking. They're not looking great. Like Aaron Jones. A-Rod. Yeah. If you have a healthy Aaron Jones, you're playing him because he's the best offensive player fantasy-wise on the team.
Are you?
Yeah. You're playing him, man. He's probably a flex, and bye weeks are coming. Like he's had some good games. Oh yeah, sorry, Tiffany.
I feel your pain, Tiff.
Yeah, I wish I could say like I feel bad for the Packers, but I don't.
They've been good so long.
I low key don't like Aaron Rodgers to begin with.
I've always been a Green Bay fan. Like I've always liked them. I don't know why.
Rodgers
I liked Brett Favre back in the day. I had a Brett Favre jersey when I was like 4. So that's probably why. So I've been kind of a fan. I always liked them.
Yeah. You've been stealing any money lately, or?
Yeah. Taking money from the poor.
What's that got to do with me liking them when I was 5?
I'm just asking. I had a Brett Favre jersey too. I was just asking.
Did you like them?
No.
All right. Well, I mean, look, I'm a Browns fan, dude. I had dog shit teams since I can remember. Like, I've never had a winning team. I had like 3 winning seasons my entire life.
Did you ever have a Brandon Whedon jersey?
No, but I had a Paul Kruger jersey. So that was my dude. Even though we only had him for one season. I'm so mad. So mad. Yeah, I mean, I have Aaron Jones in one of my leagues, man, and I'm like, I don't know what to do because one game he might get you 50. It's like his ceiling is so capped, and his floor is so low. Like I don't know. I don't want to say he's a surefire start. Like I'd much rather start. Like if you can, what about him and like Kenyon Drake, right? Like a lot of people got Kenyon Drake off waivers. A lot of people got. Some people dropped Gus Edwards. You can plug him in. Like
I mean, Aaron Jones what is he right now? RB 10, 11, 12.
Let me look.
Let's not overdo it. You know, he had his worst game of the season, or one of his worst games of the season.
Yeah, that's
he had 100. He had 143 yards the game before.
I'm just saying,
also the same amount of crap.
He's RB10. You're right, but he did.
You're playing him. You are playing him. If you're not playing him, you're overreacting to a game. It's football. Barkley will have a bad game.
It just seems like he did
Joe Mixon has
all
bad
his
games.
damage on 2 weeks. I get what you're saying though. Like I get it. You'd have to have some stones to sit him. So
but 6 games over 9 points. Come on.
To your point about doing most of his damage in a couple of games, right? That was the same argument we made about Chase when we were coming into this year. Is last year he did all his damage in 4 games, right?
But and he still did only what he had 2 nice games this year, 3.
But I'm just saying we were still running him out there all last year.
100%.
With Jamar Chase when he had only put up those big games. So,
this is a fair point by Tiffany. She watches all these games. They're passing on the 1 yard line, and even if they're on the 1 yard line, AJ Dillon's getting the ball. Aaron Jones ain't getting the ball inside the 10.
Well, maybe not more after the way that Dillon looked in the goal line this week.
I mean, as an Aaron Jones
snap share,
as a Jones owner, like I really hope they're finally like, all right, AJ, ride pine, brother.
Yo, I have him too. I'm the same way. I'm like,
not to mention also
get him
like,
out of the way.
He looks like Eddie Lacy right now.
Aaron Rodgers, you can't throw the ball. Let's just give it to the best player on the field.
Yep.
30 times. Like I hope they do that. Maybe they will
happen.
Maybe they will. All right, let's move on. We've spent enough time on Bash and Tiffany's Green Bay Packers. Wide receivers. Let's get into a few of these guys. House, let's start with you. I know we've talked about the Chargers a little bit, but Josh Palmer had a very nice game, over 100 yards. The past 2 weeks, he's had nice games. Like if Mike Will and Keenan continue to be out, like it looks like they're gonna be, is he as easy plug and play?
For me, probably not an easy plug and play. He's probably fitting into the flex role somewhere. He's been solid. He's had a solid couple of weeks.
So you're debating.
I'm on the fence with him where he fits in because I think, when one of them comes back, it's going to be that's the focus, right? It's Eckler, and then it's whichever one of them is healthy, whether it's Williams or whether it's Keenan Allen. But the way Keenan Allen's going is, I mean, he got hurt worse,
dude,
during a week off. So
I traded for him in week 2.
I own him too. I told you, if they're hurt, I own them in one of my leagues. Right? Allen, JT, like you name it. I'm in bad shape. So I'm spiraling.
I feel you, pain. I had Breece Hall in 3 leagues. Like
I don't mind owning him. And considering him as a play each week, but he's not a hard and fast, like slot him into the lineup every week kind of guy for me.
Okay. Kind of matchup based.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, Garrett Wilson, back-to-back really nice games with Zach Wilson, which was the big concern, right? Like we know Garrett Wilson's a premier talent. It always can Zach Wilson get him the ball. Have they figured it out?
No.
You're not sold.
No, Zach Wilson still doesn't look good. I mean, Garrett Wilson is a supreme talent, but
yeah, but is he good enough to get Garrett Wilson the ball? Is the question, right?
Some weeks, I think, there's a hot hand right now, and, depending on what your squad looks like, Wilson might be a debatable flex play, but are you playing Wilson over like Terry McLaurin and Josh Palmer?
That's a good one. Garrett Wilson or Josh Palmer?
I'm taking Josh Palmer.
House?
Probably the same.
I think it's getting
just because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah,
I trust
exactly.
Herbert. I trust Herbert to support Palmer more than I trust Wilson to support.
Yeah. I trust Heineke to support Terry McLaurin than Garrett Wilson.
What about Darnell Mooney?
I'll play Garrett Wilson.
You just wanted to get Justin Fields in there?
Yeah.
It's kind of a conversation, right?
It is.
Talking quarterbacks, you guys don't like Justin Fields throwing the ball. So Garrett Wilson or Darnell Mooney?
Garrett Wilson.
I think I play Mooney there.
I think I play Mooney. Mooney's had some nice games lately.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of your temperature on Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So debatable flex, but not really. Let's get into some of these wide receivers that disappointed this week and have not looked good lately. How's Mike Evans? Only 9 points on 11 targets, which is the craziest part of the whole situation. Like, if he only had 3 targets, it'd be like a throwaway. He had 11 targets.
He looked bad.
He looked bad. He looked hurt. Brady looks bad. The whole offense as a whole looks
balls.
Bad.
Yeah. What's our outlook on him?
I mean, you never want to count out a guy that's getting the ball thrown to him by Tom Brady.
Nope.
But
You could say the same thing about Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
No.
Good.
He looked bad. So I'd be curious to see if, and I haven't seen any reports today. I don't know if he was dealing with something.
He looked hurt.
He looked like
he was limping around.
He looked like he wasn't in at 100%. So if that's something that lingers, I'm worried about it.
Yes.
But I've been saying all year, I think Mike Evans is one of the most underrated receivers, maybe ever.
Top 5.
Because all he's ever done is 1,000 yards, right? It's 1,000 yards, bunch of touchdowns every year, but he's never been listed in that class of like top tier guys, right?
Top 5.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. He looked bad. I'm not panicking yet, but this week was not promising.
No, it was not. I'm just pulling up kind of his weekly finishes here. I mean, he's been
last 3 weeks were 21, 15, and 33.
3 of the last 5, though, he's finished outside top 30.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Oh, I'm looking at standard.
That's not good. Yeah, I mean, I'm panicking on the whole offense. I have been for a little bit. They just look out of sorts.
Yeah.
They look confused. Tom Brady doesn't look the same. He looks like he...
O-line.
It's definitely that's
penalties.
Big part of it. But Brady looks like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For the first time that I can remember, he just looks very uncomfortable. He's played, I feel like, with not great lines. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird there. I don't know. I'm a little nervous. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Alex, Michael Pittman Jr. Yikes.
You're just throwing me the stinkers, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? So with Ellinger back there, dude, like, is he just a solid sit? Like, can we play him?
I'm not playing him until I see something. I mean, I don't want anybody at the Colts right now. I don't even want Jonathan Taylor.
Like, yeah, dude. Jesus. Last 6 weeks, he's had 1 week, which was he was wide receiver 5, but 1 week inside the top 30.
Was that with Matty Ice?
I think that was the week with Matty Ice.
Yeah.
And then since Ellinger, last 3 weeks he's been outside the top 30.
Well, they just got rid of their nuts of a coach, so
it's true. See what happens with Jeff Saturday. Like, I think they're going to run the ball. But
yeah,
who's coaching high school and broadcasting, and now he's on.
I will say this: Jeff Saturday is an offensive lineman. Their offensive line needs work. They've got still a couple healthy guys that are, out of the best offensive linemen in the league.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That might help them out. And I think Matt Ryan gets thrown in because watching Sam Ehlinger, he's not the dude. Right away that's not your future. No point in playing him. You're paying Matty Ice, put him in there.
Yeah.
Ehlinger looks terrible.
I mean, they're still kind of in the hunt, right?
It's that division you're in the hunt every year. Doesn't matter.
So I think you're right. I think you
have
have to go
3-5-1. I think they are.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm with Alex on that. I think they still have a clear path to getting to the playoffs. I think you're right. I think Matt Ryan's got to come back, and if you're
not playing Pittman until Matt Ryan's back.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a pretty clear cut. If Ehlinger's back there, I can't play him.
I think Paris Campbell's been better than Michael Pittman the last 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a weird. He's so good, but man, it's not clicking.
Nope.
Talk a little tight ends here real quick. House. Talk to me about my guy that I was so high on before the season started. Cole Kmet. Is he finally here? Has he arrived to the party?
We were all high on Cole Kmet. Remember us talking about 100 plus targets?
If this whole
a bunch of catches
and missed on anybody, it was Cole Kmet.
It sure was.
Oh, yeah.
It 100% was because we were all super high on him.
Like, are you picking him up?
Probably not.
No.
I'm looking at his weekly finish. I know he had a monster week, right?
Yeah, he was probably tight end 2, maybe.
He was tight end 2. Before that, 14, 26. So he's 43 before that. I mean, 14 was his highest finish until this week. So, if I see it another week, I'm back on board, but I probably won't be able to get him by then.
I think he's going to get snacked up this week. I think someone's going to take a flyer that needs a tight end.
I mean, they're playing Detroit this week, so that's the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're throwing the ball more, he can get to being a top 12. I don't know.
Come on. We all watch the games. It's Justin Fields.
I just have hope. Justin Fields is good.
I didn't
get off his back.
I'll be honest. I didn't dive into this one a ton, and I'd like to see, these last couple of weeks where he's been
decent.
Well, I mean, he only had 2 targets the week before, but this last week, I'd like to see, was there like a significant increase in his route participation?
Yeah, the advanced.
he only had 6 targets, so it was the red zone, right? That was the big thing for him. So, I'd like to dive in a little bit more on the advanced stats for him and see what that looks like from last week to this one. And again, full disclosure, I did not do it, but I need to. He's one, man. We were so high on him, and it just didn't pan out. So I need to see it.
You would just hope a game like this kind of builds that confidence with Fields and the coaching staff. Kind of like, all right, we got to get him
we got
5 to 8 targets. You got to involve him more because he's good. Yeah. Alex, Cade Otton, 5 receptions, 6 targets, 68 yards, a tutty. We know what's going on in Tampa. Brady's looking for somebody to kind of take an extra step forward. Could it be Cade Otton?
Yes.
So he's picked up. Are we playing him? Are we waiting? 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's been inside the top 12. He looks good.
They definitely have more chemistry going.
He likes his tight ends.
Yeah, that O-line's bad. It's really crazy watching the Buccaneers because yes, the O-line's been terrible. They've had really bad false start penalties and holding penalties. That left side is just not blocking at all. But Mike Evans has dropped. I've seen him drop 5 big balls this year, wide open balls. Since Godwin's been healthy, I've seen 3 easily catchable balls he's dropping. They're just out of sync. I still have a belief that they're going to start clicking. I think Julio is not really going to be a factor.
Julio's done.
Yeah, it's just he can't. He looks slow.
He wasn't even on the field.
Done
that much.
Yeah, he looks bad. Russell Gage looks like he's just going to be injured throughout the entire season. And, Scotty Miller's a one-trick pony. So,
82%. Hey,
if you give Helen Keller the football and they're running 100% of snap share, it doesn't matter. I mean,
if he's getting 82% route participation, that's something to note. Like,
but he's, we
Mario,
all have
find me what he was weeks before that.
Yeah, it's probably in the 70s, 80s. It's not.
What if it's like 30?
Yeah, if it's like 30, then I'll look at it a little bit different. If it's 30, but I will say it's like
I'll tell you,
Fields is on like
that has nothing to do with it.
On par for. But what I'm saying is Fields is on par for 2,500 passing yards. It just depends what it is with that. It's
There's a built-in ceiling with that.
That is the ceiling. But Cade Otton, I trust him going forward. Short out. Leonard Fournette doesn't look great. He's still the guy right now.
I like Cade Otton better than
Cole Kmet. Yeah, 100.
That's the season for me too. The most telling thing for me about Cade Otton was that who did they go to when they needed that score at the end of the game?
Yeah,
and they designed that play for him to get open. Like that was Brady's first read.
He's not dropping the ball.
Nowhere else to go. Nice, it was a short pass, nice catch with his hands, got upfield, got in the end zone.
Yep.
Granted, it was like from the 2, but
100%.
Trusted him at a big time.
Yeah,
I agree. I like Cade Otton the rest of the season.
Yep.
Some tight ends that disappointed this week. Talk to me about Gerald Everett. I think he had a decent game. I think he had like 8 points, but like the expectations coming into this week with Mike Williams out and Keenan Allen out, no one really around, Justin Herbert and the defense that they were playing, I think we all expected Gerald Everett to have a really nice day, and he just didn't.
Yeah, Gerald Everett, man, he's one of those guys that like he has great games and we get real high on him, then I feel like he fades off and we're like, can you even play him? Then he has a couple good games, then he fades off and we're like, can you even play him? So, if they get healthy and they come back, I think it opens the field up for him. I don't have it in front of me right now. Where's he at on the season?
I got him at 9.
Yeah, he's tied in 9. Yeah.
Yeah, like I know he's been in there, but like, are you playing him? Oh, I'm only looking at weeks 1 through 8. I mean, I think you're playing him in
every league.
In every. Well, I mean, I'm looking like, are you playing him over Evan Ingram these days?
That's what I was going to say.
Ingram got like what 1 point this
Hurst these days.
He did, but he is getting way more involved in that offense.
I get it, but it's
like I think there's guys trending upward that you have to consider.
Yeah,
it's like
I think
this with every tight end outside the top 3.
Would you rather play Cade Otton for the rest of the year? Or would you rather play Gerald Everett for the rest of the year?
Cade Otton.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
That's telling.
I think that's where I'm at too with it. So like, he's a guy that I think is going to have a couple of decent weeks, but I don't know that I'm not rushing out there to get him on my roster and get him in my lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about another player that he's tight end 6 right now, Tyler Conklin. He had a huge week 2 weeks ago, and then he comes in and puts up like 1 point.
That's what makes him tight end 6.
Yeah, but he had, with Joe Flacco, he was very efficient. He was good with Joe Flacco. But like with Zach Wilson being there in this offense now, is he droppable again? Is he rostered? Are we playing him? What are we doing?
It's like we've touched on with the tight ends. It really is like a matchup. It's a weekly matchup thing. Who's available? What do you have?
So are you rostering 2 tight ends?
I don't. I think you're to the point where if you don't have a top 3 or let's say top 5 tight end, you can drop. You can drop and pick up. Like it's just you're going to have so many up and downs. Like do I think Conklin's rosterable? No. I think you have no business playing him with Zach Wilson at quarterback.
The weirdest part about the whole situation that we're kind of talking about for me is what you're saying. Like, yeah, you can have one tight end on your team, play matchup based dropped, but these tight ends are not producing off of matchup based, like what it says to do. Like, that's the issue right now that I've seen, that I've been kind of watching. Just like this week, Gerald Everett, he should have had a monster day. He did not. Like, there's players out like Robert Tonyan should have had a monster day against Detroit, but he did not. Like, what are we doing with these tight ends when you can't base it off of a matchup?
I think it's when it comes. I think it gets to a certain point to where you've got to look outside of just the fantasy aspect of it. I think you've got to realize if I'm the defense and I'm going against Aaron Rodgers and Dobbs is hurt and Lazard is hurt and the O-line's not doing good, and you're thinking to yourself, Jones and Tonyan. That's who we care about. It's Jones and Tonyan. So when you think, well, the rest of the guys are injured, they should be performing. Well, Everett's best games were with Mike Williams and Palmer or somebody else healthy. Like he had good games when it's opened up. Hawkinson had, he had one ginormous game, but he had better games with a healthier squad. I think with Conklin, it's not necessarily an injury thing though. Like that, it's the team thing. It's Zach Wilson. You don't really want anything to do with him because of the team. Kmet, you're questioning that because it's the quarterback. It's not because of who's there. Is the quarterback looking at him? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's fair.
Conklin, looking at the last 5 weeks, he was tight end 1 in week 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, his high was tight end 21.
That's what I'm saying. You want no business with that. It's okay to see him in free agency with a 22-point game, knowing that the last 5 games he's averaging 3 or 4 points. It's fantasy football. It's football. Shit happens. Don't overthink it. He's not good. Zach Wilson's not good.
Yeah.
It's
6.2 was his high outside of week 8.
Yeah.
Since
don't overthink it. Don't overthink. That's what
since week 5.
I think most people playing fantasy football, where they really shoot themselves, is making drastic decisions based off of one game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just this year, the tight end position is
a mess.
It's something.
It's scary. The guys who spent the money or drafted early, those top 3 guys, like those guys are making the playoffs, guaranteed.
Yeah, I said early in the year as we were building up to the season, right? I'm a guy that if it's not Kelsey or Andrews, I fade tight ends, right? And
nailed it.
And normally that can work for you, and you can find a guy that'll fit into that, 8-9 range, and you can get them late. But even this year, like finding a guy like that, Tiffany says it's trash. Higbee got 0. I had Higbee in a lineup yesterday too.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, I think you're right. Kelsey, Andrews. I'm throwing Zach Ertz and Goddard in that conversation now.
Yeah, but I would really, especially with tight end, I would really pay attention to that entire offense. Who's healthy? Who's the quarterback? If you don't have healthy receivers and the line's a little iffy, I'm probably not playing that tight end. In theory, you think that guy's going to be targeted the most, but realistically what's happening is that guy is going to be targeted by the defense the most.
So are we saying that Chase Claypool just made Cole Kmet that much better?
I think you've improved it. I'm just being honest. When you add
he
weapons,
might have helped a little bit, but
Hawkinson looked like his second best game.
Yeah,
like he might have not had the second most points of the year. It probably was his 3rd or 4th most points of the year, but he looked really good. And the reason why is you have Jefferson and Thielen and Kirk throwing the ball. And Cook, I mean, Hawkinson's probably going to be a top 4 tight end going forward every week.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Keep an eye out for all that. We'll try to get you guys through the tight end mess in future episodes. So
it's ugly.
Stick for that. Boys, you got anybody else you guys want to talk about?
I got 2 things just to say randomly. One, Rob, I need to know, have you framed that photo of Kirk Cousins?
It's on its way.
Okay, good. So for
I'm gonna
anybody
hang up
that didn't
above
see
my
it,
bed on the ceiling.
look up Kirk Cousins shirtless on the plane with about 45 chains on. That's Rob's boy. I immediately thought he was going to have that framed in his house.
It's on its way.
And guys, I would just like to celebrate. Steelers didn't lose this weekend, so
Yeah.
it was a good weekend
Positive
of football
weeks.
for
Neither
me.
did the Browns, so we're good.
I have one thing to say. If Mark Andrews' injury continues, Isaiah Likely, in my opinion, is a top 5 tight end.
I agree with that. Maybe not tonight, but
I think he
agree.
gets over 12 points tonight.
it'd be interesting to see. I'm
He's gonna
curious.
line outside a lot.
Hey, if he has a good game tonight, like he might be involved even if Andrews is back.
He lined up a wide receiver a decent amount last game.
Yeah, he's good. But other than that, boys, we've gone through everything. We have Monday Night Football coming up, so let's get all the people out so that we can celebrate and watch some Monday Night Football. This was a fun one. I like this.
I like it.
I think it was good. We can kind of discuss some players a little bit more in depth. So for me, that was good. Let me know when I'm cutting out. Am I good?
Good so far.
Good. All right, boys. This was a good episode. I had a good time. Everyone go enjoy the Monday Night Football game. If you're not following us on Twitter, go check us out at DadBotFS. We're on YouTube, DadBot Fantasy Squad, Twitch, DadBot Fantasy Squad. Right after this, I'm going to upload it to iTunes, Spotify, House.
All the major streaming platforms.
My God, he's got it. For House, for Alex, I'm Rob. This is the DadBot Fantasy Squad. Have a good night, everybody.
Later,
y'all.